All right, everyone, welcome to today's Newsday Tuesday. Tuesdays at 2 p.m., our webinars where we teach you a little bit about video editing, video streaming, and the technology that we sell. This is Gary at Videoguys.com, and today I have a special guest with me, Alex from Epiphan. He's here to tell us about a very special promotion they're running on the Epiphan Pearls and Pearl 2s. You see we have the Pearl right here. So Alex, why don't you tell us a little about the trade-up program and what's going on?
Great. Well, Gary, thank you for having me. It's exciting to see the new facility that you guys just moved into not too long ago. I can't wait to come back and visit when the studio is all done and you're running full speed. As Gary said, Epiphan is excited to announce a trade-up program on our entire Pearl family of products. If you were always on the edge, if you were thinking about upgrading your existing streaming recording devices, anything from the original Epiphan families of VGA to Ethernet, lecture recorder X2, broadcaster, recorder, etc., to a Pearl, we will give you $1,500 credit on the new unit. Even if you're a Power Pearl user and you want to go to a Pearl 2, same thing apply.
That's fantastic.
But just as importantly, a lot of you out in the market have heard a lot about Pearls. You might have some other manufacturer's equipment. You're not sure. If it's a streaming and recording device, we'll give you $1,500 credit to trade that in to go with a Pearl.
Awesome. We're going to have a complete list of all the products that qualify a little later in the show. Let's talk about the Pearl and the Pearl 2. We have a Pearl 2 here. I want to turn this unit around for everyone to be able to see, because one of the things that makes the Pearl so cool is it's an appliance with multiple inputs and outputs. So talk a little about the original Pearl and the Pearl 2 and what the differences are for us, Alex.
Absolutely. As you know, both units are switching, mixing, encoding, streaming, recording devices. Pearl 2 is based on higher processing power and therefore can do a lot more of the same that Pearl does. Just kind of quick comparison. Most importantly, of course, if you have 4K requirements, Pearl 2 is the answer.
Slam dunk.
Slam dunk. Absolutely. If you need to bring in 6 digital video sources, or if you want to create 6 unique encoders, again, Pearl 2 is the answer. If you don't have those requirements, if 4 is enough, if you don't need 4K, but you want to save a couple of bucks, you can go with the Pearl.
Well, let's talk about those bucks. Let's bring up the slides and let people see where we are with this. The base Pearl unit is normally $63.75. With the $1,500 rebate, you're talking $48.75. That brings it under $5,000. Very important for a lot of churches, schools, government agencies that have certain PO requirements now. At the under $5,000, it's something you can get in maybe your year-end budget. While there's a little money still around, maybe you get a quicker approval process to get that. That's really exciting. And then the Pearl 2 4K comes down from $84.95 to $69.95 with the $1,500. And then, of course, this also applies to the rack products as well. So on the rack, we have the Pearl 2 rack and the Pearl 2 twin rack. Also, and that $1,500 applies also. So, Alex, I'm going to take it back to you a little bit. Let's talk about some of the verticals, some of the markets where the Pearl's been very successful.
Absolutely. As I talk through this, you'll realize that there's a lot of crossing between the market segments. So let's start with the Pro AV market segment. The folks that have to record events. Pearl is perfect for that. Whether you're creating a channel, an encoder as we call it, with multiple inputs, that you create many different layouts, that you have to switch between them, focus on the speaker and slides, audience, etc. You can create these layouts, you can switch between them, you record that.
So the Pearl has a hard drive in it to record too. You can
Absolutely.
Also add additional USB storage to record if you need to.
So the way you would record onto the unit itself, and then you can offload to USB attached device or to a network storage if the unit's online.
Pearls you can also have multiple encoders.
Absolutely. So if you need to record, we talked about creating different layouts, different encoder streams. You can also record all your ISOs. If you want to do post-production editing, you create all your ISOs, you record them into a multi-track file, so they're all synced up when you go back and do your editing. Let's move ahead then. If you look at the enterprise market, we had a tremendous presence across multiple large, small, medium-sized corporations. Use cases vary. Again, most companies have events. They want to record them. They want to do a town hall meeting with their remote locations. So they can stream that. They want to do marketing, advertising on social media for their audience, for their customers, consumers. You can do that with the Pearl. But again, another very interesting subset within enterprise is user experience research. With Pearl's multiple inputs, you can have a camera on the user's face. You can watch the facial expressions on users' hands as they're interfacing with the device.
So you should have the device itself inputting.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And you can share that what you're recording. You can obviously record it for your developers to review later. But you can also be streaming it live to developers that are geographically dispersed globally. Anywhere in the world, they can be participating in a live session and provide feedback to the experiment as to things they want to see. As well, of course, through the local output monitoring, you can have developers sitting locally as well.
Now, one of the largest markets we've had the most success with the Pearl with has been the education market, where educators are using it to record lectures, for distance learning, for doing, like you said, their own events, graduations, commencements, stuff like that. One of the things that we found that our customers really love about the Pearl is after it's initially set up, the professor or teacher can easily operate the Pearl. It's not powered on, but this screen is actually a touch screen where you can control the different layouts in the shots. So that actually the professor can say, okay, now just me, now just my PowerPoint and me. Maybe I want to bring in something from a camera that's in the crowd, someone's question. So talk about the educational market.
Yeah, absolutely right. The ease of use is really important across all markets. Within education, as Gary said, one-touch control, whether from the Pearl itself or from a tablet, we can talk a bit later about that, from somebody in the audience, to be switching between layouts is very important. So recording lectures for continuing education market is very, very important. As you know very well, we won't mention names, but one of the largest universities in the Northeast has north of 50 original Pearls. They're converting to Pearl 2s, specifically in their Department of Continuing Education. They enable to provide those lectures to students who could not attend. They're able to create a revenue source by providing this to local corporations, enterprises. You talked about event streaming such as sporting events, guest speakers, commencement, something that they can record for their audience to view later, or stream to those who were not able to attend. But at the same time, the portability of the Pearl unit enables you to take it off campus. If you have an off-campus event that you want to actually bring back to your students, to your audience on campus, you can do that with the Pearl as well. So obviously, a very important education market for us.
Let's talk about another market that we've had tremendous success with all our streaming gear, and I think it's probably one of the biggest growth segments for streaming, and that's worship. It seems like, if you're a church, if you're a temple, whatever kind of worship you are, you want to make your message broader, reach more people, reach the people who can't come in, as well as give people a chance who couldn't attend it to see it later. And we're just seeing an explosion of streaming products in worship, and because of the ease of use, Pearl is leading the way in that market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Could not agree more. Doesn't matter the size of the church, whether they're just starting out, and let's be honest, some of them basically just go to Facebook with their phones.
Right.
Then there's our Webcaster X2, of course.
The phone to Facebook. It works, but we don't recommend it for our customers.
But then the Webcaster X2 is your next step up. Those who want to do a bit more can obviously go with the Pearl. But even once they invested the money in the equipment, there's still the investment in having somebody sit and manage it and do the day-to-day operation. Pearl's ease of use allows them to bring in volunteers, because once it's programmed, it's one touch, start, stop recording. Whether, as you said, streaming to the audience that were not able to attend, recording it for them to view later, or just to stream to an overflow room in
with the
facility.
multiple encoders, that's where the Pearl really comes in, because I can go full high-res encoding for my other rooms within the facility. Maybe an overflow room, like you said. I can still go out to Facebook or a dedicated worship CDN, because there are those worship CDNs. In fact, we have a couple of companies we know that are worship CDNs that also will sell you an Epiphan Pearl because they know what a good fit it is for what they're doing. So the multiple encoders of the Pearl for worship is really great. You have the multiple different resolutions for the different audiences, which is very nice.
Right, absolutely. And as we talk a bit later today, we can really dive into some of those specific use cases and how you can leverage Pearl and the twin Pearl in that specific environment. To keep going down the list of market segments, very important to us has been medical. But again, the lines blur. Is it medical or is it education?
Teaching universities,
exactly.
teaching hospitals.
One of the very first adapters of Pearl, it was a teaching hospital right near my office in Palo Alto, where they record their endoscopy procedures. And as you know, we always keep adding features to the Pearl, and their big ask was, we need to do cropping. As you know, when the Pearl originally was introduced over 3 years ago, it didn't have cropping. They needed to crop out patient information, and so that was added at that time, specifically to enable in the medical environment to crop that out. But their specific use case, there is a camera from the endoscope. They bring in the ultrasound that the surgeon sees. They record surgeon's narration of the
Multiple
procedure.
inputs being recorded at the same
Right.
time, as well as being streamed if we want to have the kids be
Exactly
able to watch
right.
it who are learning.
Exactly right, exactly right. Government. Now, very interesting. In government, in security type applications, it's a bit less streaming, but it's more recording.
Right.
They need to record security monitors. Right here, very close to where we're sitting, there's a major security installation for one of the transportation
Yep.
companies that uses our devices to record their control room screens. For
Backup
post what-
security to show the people did things
what
the right
happened,
way.
what happened
Yep.
reviews. So yeah, that's a big thing. And this might be a great opportunity. As we talked about, Epiphan keeps adding features to the Pearl. You're very familiar. As you know, originally when Pearl came out over 3 years ago, as I said, it was a very different device, a lot less powerful. We keep adding features, and a very important feature that was introduced just a few months ago is chroma keying. So now
And everyone asked for it.
a lot of people ask for it, very much so. And so the market's excited. It's been now out and running, and we get very, very positive feedback on that. So that's one more thing you can do with the unit. Important in many segments, including worship, where they want to run the lower thirds.
Yep. And then the live control with the Epiphan Live tablet, where now you can have someone with a tablet can actually do the selecting of the mix, is another feature that I know was requested by a lot of the different verticals.
Absolutely right. Again, we keep coming back to ease of use, but that's what Pearl is. It's
Yep.
an integrated appliance that enables you to do a lot of things
All right,
very
so
efficiently.
let's come back around full circle and talk about this $1,500 trade-in credit. We've got it that it's Epiphan products. It's the gamut of Epiphan products, from the broadcasters to the grids to the VGA2s to the VGA DVIs, and even an original Pearl qualifies. But you've also added a competitive trade-in part. I think that's very cool. And talk about why you felt the necessity to do that, and then we'll talk about some of the products of the competitive nature that qualify.
It's pretty simple. A, people have asked. B, people have asked us, how do the products compare? We can talk about it, but there's nothing like people actually getting there, trying. And honestly, what we're trying to do is to encourage the market to do just that, to try the Pearl, because once you try the Pearl, you won't go back.
So products that qualify: Matrox Monarchs, New Tech TriCasters, Livestream Studios, Teradek Video Cubes, Viewcast, Blackmagic ATM switchers, data video stuff, High Vision, vMix Go, StreamStar, Telestream wireless gear, you've Extron and Crestron stuff. So you've really covered the full gamut there. So there's a trade-in form that you can download from our website,
Right.
from the Epiphan site, that you can
Yep.
follow those instructions. And tell us, do the people have to return the unit to us?
We do reserve the right to ask for folks to return the unit, so it will depend as we move forward, but yeah. And if you have a device that Gary didn't mention, that we didn't list, reach out to us, reach out to Videoguys, and if it's the right
For
thing
some older streaming stuff that might be
that
out
we didn't
there.
think of. You know, we try to think of a list as much encompassing as possible. If we miss something, reach out, and we'll certainly give it very serious consideration. We want, the message is this: we would love for you to try the Pearl, the Rec Mount, the Pearl 2, the Twin, whatever fits into your workflow. we want you to try it because we believe it's the it will do the trick. It will do
And
what you
one
need.
of the things I think that Alex brought early on that's a really big, important feature of the Pearl is that it can be user operated. And you know, if you hook up a PTZ camera, a couple of PTZ cameras in the Pearl, or maybe a camera that's a fixed camera, you can really have the talent, be it the teacher, be it the guest speaker, you run the whole show. And that's something that we found is one of the reasons some people don't do streaming is because they find that they don't have enough operators, enough people in the place. In a church, a worship organization, typically it's a volunteer. We've got to make it where a volunteer can use it. With a professor or a teacher, we got to make it so simple and confident that they can have complete confidence it's going to work and get the job done. And they don't want to have to go to school to have to learn how to do the switching and mixing. So it's very important that we bring that up because I think the ease of use of the Pearl is going to allow people to use it more often and get more out of it. So some of those competitive devices that are out there are very great products and we sell them, but they require a little bit more substantial training and to be able to operate them and use them. The beauty of the Pearl is once you get it set up, it's a kind of set and forget an appliance, and I think that's very important.
And you and I were talking earlier before we went live about the Twin Pearl.
Yes.
And again, enabling some ease of use, enabling to do things with the twins that you would need to do, you'd need a lot more equipment. I mean, the obvious, look, space saving, right? If you need 2 units and both of them go into a single 2U rack, that's the obvious one. But redundancy. Quite often the Pro AV companies, they need to record everything. The comment was made to us that it's a lot more efficient for them, cost efficient, to buy a second unit as a backup than to lose just one event. So being able to set up 2 Pearl, which are completely independent, separate power supplies, to set them up to be identical, it makes their life a lot easier.
Complete redundancy.
Complete redundancy. And then as the Pearl's been out, there's been other use cases that have come in. You've talked about multiple bit rates. Well, let's say you saturated the processor of the Pearl by creating multiple channels, multiple encoders, but now you need maybe a different bit stream because you want to put something on a mobile network with a lower resolution, a lower bit stream. You're duplicating a channel. You're duplicating what you have to do in terms of touches. Well, with the twin unit, you can take through the local output, you can put it right into the second unit as an input, use that one single input as your encoder, you encode that, and now you're streaming.
So Pearl A runs the show, Pearl B does the encoding.
Just Pearl A runs the show, maybe it's being recorded at a high bit rate, very high resolution, Pearl 2 just mimics it, absolutely mimics it. The other use case, I talked much earlier about ISOs. Again, you saturated Pearl 1 with multiple encoders, multiple channels you've created. You're using Pearl 2 to record your ISOs. So you got your live stream, you got your mixes, you've got what you've created, but you also have your ISOs for post-production.
And on the enterprise level, we have customers who have racks of Pearls, Twins, and Pearls that are in a production closet somewhere, and now the whole shows are operated from multiple rooms. Maybe they have 5 or 6 different classrooms they want to do lectures from, or 4 or 5 medical rooms for a medical place, or if it's a corporate type thing, you might have the boardroom, you might have a training room in HR, you might have some Pearls that are monitoring what's going on the actual assembly line floor.
Absolutely.
You know. So people are using this for a lot of different applications on the Pearl. And one of the things we love about it is the flexibility. It's got all those features, but some people just want it as a really great recorder. Some people just want it for multiple encoding.
Right.
Some people want it as a switcher and a mixer. It does all of that and whatever you need. And with it being rack mountable, it is a way that you can get it out of the way and it's not in the room where everyone is. But I love the portableness of this. I mean, it comes with this case that you see right over here. And the portable, the Pearl and the Pearl 2, as a portable unit are phenomenal because you can really take your show on the road with you or to multiple locations within your facility.
Absolutely. And going back full circle, well, that's why between now and December 15th, trade up to a Pearl or Pearl 2.
Guys, that's a wrap for today's show. Alex, thank you so much for coming over. Alex from
Gary,
Epiphan.
thank you
This
again.
was great. And guys, the Pearl, it's a great box. We recommend it highly. This is Gary from Videoguys.com. This was our Newsday Tuesday this week. Come on, join us every Tuesday at 2 p.m. for the show. And Alex, as I always say at the end, peace. We're out.
Videoguys is available Monday to Friday. Give us a call, 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter to stay connected with all our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching!